CRM Audio presents Captain Redlace's Power BI Corner with Business Solutions MVP Scott Sewell.
This episode of Captain Redlace's Power BI Corner is brought to you by our friends at KingswaySoft. KingswaySoft is a leading integration solution provider offering software solutions that make data integration affordable and painlessly easy. Thousands of enterprise clients from over 65 countries and regions rely on KingswaySoft to integrate data with various application systems in order to drive their business efficiency and fully leverage their information assets. KingswaySoft is a leading provider of Microsoft Dynamics integration software, including Dynamics 365, CRM, AX, NAV, GP, SL, as well as many other applications such as Marketo, Dropbox, QuickBooks, and Salesforce. Whether you need one solution or several, KingswaySoft works easily within the SSIS platform to make your integration process as quick and easy as possible. Many of their clients have seen 3 to 10 times greater data integration performance after switching to the SSIS integration toolkit. We thank KingswaySoft for their support of Captain Redlace's Power BI Corner.
So Scott, what do you got? What's new this week?
Well, it's been a few weeks since they've released the information. They've announced a new pricing model for CRM. I got to tell you, we laughed about. I was listening to one of the back episodes recently, and we were laughing about how exciting pricing models really aren't. They may have actually listened to that episode because suddenly they just dropped a huge bombshell of a pricing model change into the Power BI world. I don't want to even begin to pretend to say that I've got the full picture of all the pricing model that's in place or how it's new. I can tell you a couple of things that have changed, for better or worse, I guess, depending on your perspective, but it is a major change. Power BI Pro licenses, still the same price. If you're going to work off your desktop and just use Power BI desktop and generate models and consume the dashboard and the data yourself on your desktop, still free. If you want to publish that information internally and use part of a publishing, you're going to need the Power BI Pro license, which then other people with Power BI Pro can connect and view and share that information. What's gone away, one of the pieces that's gone away is there's now no sharing for non-Power BI Pro or greater users. So there is a little difference there. In fact, they were kind of giving away the store in a lot of ways in some areas. And now they're starting to say, hey, this is delivering real value, so we're going to charge for it.
So, I mean, were people like having somebody with the Power BI Pro license share things with people that didn't have it?
Yes. And that's perfect. That was perfectly acceptable under the old model. That was allowed.
So does your shared stuff just go away?
Yeah, I don't have any shared stuff to try that again. So that's a good question. I'll try it. I'll take a look at that and get back to you on that. But
so now, I mean, if you don't have a pro, you're kind of just on your own, build your own stuff, huh?
Right, but you've still got access to the desktop on your desktop, and you can do all kinds of great work there. If you wanted to use it, if you just wanted to use it solo, if you want to use Pro, that gives you that ability to share. There's also an ability now to create apps, which we should probably just handle in its own episode because it's really a way of packaging up dashboards, reports, and data and delivering it in a bundle to a user. Sort of like content packs used to be.
On the sharing thing,
though,
yeah. Does that mean that I have to have the license to be shared with?
Yes.
Or does it mean, okay, I thought you were saying to share with others, but so it's saying if you want to share or be shared with, you need to have the Pro license. Sharing
is caring, but it is also licensing.
Thank you, Barney.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, we have that. But then on top of that, it used to be that there was this. A few weeks back we had Ulrich joined us for an episode, and we talked a little bit about Power BI embedded, and that piece is actually going away of the way it's used. And the way it was used was this kind of weird Azure consumption model where every time that dashboard or that visualization rendered on a page, I think you send them a nickel. I don't know, some sort of a per usage consumption model. But now they've changed from a consumption model in what they call Power BI Premium to a capacity model, where they say we can spin up a server that if you got 1,000 users connecting to, it's still the same flat rate. You're going to charge this much. Now, if you have 10,000 users connecting to it, they're going to start hitting performance bottlenecks. And so we would scale you up to a 2-node cluster or 3 or 4-node cluster. And each of those nodes is about $5,000 a pop per month. So it's a capacity orientation as opposed to a consumption orientation. But that does, I think for some organizations that's going to be incredibly useful, because they've got a flat charge. They can make this available to the whole organization, because most of the organization is just going to read numbers off the Power BI dashboards. Most of the organization is not going to be creating new models or creating new visualizations. So I think it's net positive. It certainly is reflective of the value that people are seeing with Power BI in their organization. It's just maybe the pricing's catching up with that a little bit. But that's Power BI Premium. And if you go to the Power BI webpage, if you go to powerbi.microsoft.com and /calculator or /en-us calculator, depending on your language and where you are. If you just go to, there's a premium pricing calculator, and you put in the total number of users that you have in your organization. And those could be either like heavy power creators or people who just hit a dashboard once, when they log in the morning and they happen to see, your company stock price or total number of cases being resolved. So they see something occasionally during the day, they zip past that number. You put in 5,000 users, and how many of them are heavy creators? How many of them are using that dashboard, that data all day long, every day? And how many of them just kind of zip past it occasionally during the day? You put that in, and it kind of scales up a model for you to say, this is how many nodes we would expect you to have, and here's the pricing for that. So it's a capacity scaling as opposed to consumption scaling.
Okay, so that would really take effect when you have like a really busy dashboard or have a lot of people consuming it, right?
Right. So as Power BI visualizations become part of your organization's DNA, as they work into all kinds of different applications, and they become really ubiquitous across the organization, you don't have to worry about, okay, well, we're going to add 2 more graphs to this page, and how much more is that going to cost us to render? And HR wants to use this, and our HR is trying to decide how much if they're going to spend a little bit on this or that. Yeah, you've already set up the capacity for the whole organization. It's done. So it cuts out some of the decisioning process that you have to worry about. So I think for many organizations, it's going to be a very positive thing. It is quite a shock to the system, though. One piece that has been announced but is not yet in play is they've now announced officially, and they've kind of been talking about this for a while, is that they are releasing a Power BI on-premise solution. So Power BI server on-premise, it will be coming second quarter of this year, late second quarter. So whatever, late second quarter, that just kind of drifts into late summer, early fall. Who knows what I think it's based on what definition of quarter you want to use. But I think you're going to see by the end of the year for certain, it'll be out and running and much more effective. But it's cool to have announced it. I have a couple of customers that, for a couple of reasons, some security, some just by nature of momentum within their organization, they're sticking with on-premise solutions, and they want to keep on-premise solutions. And as a result, Power BI has not been a great option for them for especially like mobile reporting and things. Now this is now becoming a much more rich solution for them. So
how is that? I mean, how is that going to work with the things like the mobile apps and things like that? Are they going to make it so they can connect to an on-premises Power BI environment then?
Yes. So it's just like you're hosting. It's just like CRM where you have it hosted in the cloud versus on premise. You're gonna be able to scale that up and throw as much resources as you want to at that machine.
That's interesting that there's several things that we've heard lately that Microsoft is kind of reinvigorating on premises. Is this a competitive thing? I mean, who are they competing against mainly in the on premises? I mean, I know a lot of people still use other Microsoft tools, SSRS reports, and other things like that. I mean, is the old
right? The Tableaus, Clicks,
objects and stuff.
Yeah,
does Tableau and Click have on-premises versions?
Right. So there's definitely that. From a competitive landscape, it just removes barriers to some organizations taking advantage of it. In the case of like if you think about military applications or any kind of sensitive data that because of regulatory concerns, the data is just not allowed to leave the premise. Okay, fine. You got it on premise. Don't let that stand in your way of taking advantage of these tools.
Right.
So,
okay.
Again, a lot more information will be coming later in the year, so it'll be good.
Yeah, there's still a number of Dynamics on-premises customers, fewer than there used to be, but there's still a pretty strong number. And so having an option for that, for people who don't want to go to the cloud yet or for some reason can't, is a good thing.
Yeah.
That's good. So what is this, what's this quick measures thing you were telling me about?
Yeah, it's cool. I think we mentioned earlier that DAX, that's DAX, is the query language for writing. It's like, Excel formulas. The parallel to an Excel formula is DAX, DAX, inside of Power BI. And I saw somebody today that had a bumper sticker that said, DAX the way I like it, I thought that was pretty funny. Anyway, so DAX is the query language, and the tool it's a little quirky once you get past some of the simpler calculations. Obviously some average, division, then some filtered roll-ups, and then some other things, and then you start getting them to say, okay, I want to see a rolling average, but I want to put a 1 month window on it, backwards and forwards, and so I want to have these. So it gets a little bit hard to. Now you Google enough and you can find good examples of things, but it gets a little odd in cases. What they've done is said, hey, there's these patterns for DAX formulas that are a little odd, but they're also kind of common, and they've allowed you to choose an attribute in your DAX model or in your data set. Like in my case, I've got in my Titanic, I've got an average price per passenger, average ticket price per passenger. And let's say I wanted a rolling average of ticket sales day by day over the period of time leading up till the ship left left for New York. I can set up a rolling average using a DAX quick measure. You right click on it, say choose rolling average, choose my attributes, and I'm done. And it puts in a whole formula there for me. I could do exactly the same thing if I find the right blog post that's actually accurate, or go out and hit Stack Overflow and search around, and you can find some examples and kind of adapt it. But now they've built that in, so it's a right click and you've got it. And then it's also nice because you can edit that if you wanted to add a little bit, add maybe an additional filter to it, or add I want a median score as opposed to an average score. You can add that to edit what it puts in there. But it's a quick way of delivering a formula that maybe you would have had to create from scratch in the past. So quick measures have been added and expanded in the latest download of Power BI desktop. That was a May 1st desktop release.
Yeah, so is it the kind of thing that the if you're somebody getting started, that someone who's a power user is going to see it and sneer at what you're doing, or is it something you think, are these quick measures going to be time savers that even power users will start using?
I have no doubt that their power users will start using these quick measures because they're kind of on that bubble of they're harder than like the simple average or divisions or some sort of those types of scores. They're harder than those, but they're not like giant, complex, massive queries. So it's kind of in that bubble, and all it takes is you right click on it and it's done. So yeah, somebody's gonna, of course, there's gonna be somebody who's gonna go, well, I don't like the formatting of that or something. They're gonna have some reason that they just don't want to use that. Fine, there's nothing blocking you, but this brings some of this power down to mortals like me.
Well, great. Yeah, more power for us is always good.